Refrigerator Perry, and just how hard he hit. And my mama told me homecoming games are the best. On the banks of those late fall, late cartwheel sunsets, I wanted to be just like Jeff Davis when I grew up, tackling Seminoles and Bulldogs, playing football in the mud. So everybody sing Tiger Rag at the top of your lungs, and we'll party like it's 1981. Make those Death Valley lights shine brighter. And for good luck, we got Howard's Rock to beat the hell out of them old Gamecocks. It's a damn good day to be a Clemson Tiger. I feel really sorry for our sisters to the south, 'cause they come up here every other year and get punched in the mouth. Oh, and every home Saturday, it gives us the chills to watch those boys in orange run together down that hill. So everybody sing Tiger Rag at the top of your lungs, and we'll party like it's 1981. Make those Death Valley lights shine brighter. And for good luck, we got Howard's Rock to beat the hell out of them old Gamecocks. It's a damn good day to be a Clemson Tiger. Oh, somewhere up in heaven, Gaines Adams makes a sack, and that old Banks McFadden is the best damn running back. So everybody sing Tiger Rag at the top of your lungs, and we'll party like it's 1981. Make those Death Valley lights shine brighter. And for good luck, we got Howard's Rock to beat the hell out of them old Gamecocks. It's a damn good day to be a Clemson Tiger. It's a damn good day to be a Clemson Tiger. Everybody, damn good day to be a Clemson Tiger. Oh, yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. Pig Skinny Pete here. Happy Saturday to everybody. Guess what? 2 more weeks, 14 more days until we are actually sitting around watching college football instead of sitting here on YouTube watching my ugly face talk into a microphone. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Let me get back into the chat here and see what is going on there. A couple of things I want to talk about today. And then, of course, like always, I will turn it over to you guys, because you guys are what makes the show run and are what is most important. And it's not even close. Let's see here. So I'm going to scroll back up here. Good afternoon, SEC Football Tube, Air Max Legend Killer, Boonk Gang, Nick Bro, College Football Maniac. Let's see here. Miranda Dansby, good afternoon, ma'am. Nick Bro, I already said you. Yeah. Orange 1973, good afternoon, sir. I'm sure if you're here, you're amazing and fantastic. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Yeah, so what I'm going to do, this is going to be just an open stream for you guys to ask any questions. Prince 6'1", how you doing, sir? College Football Dojo, good afternoon. The Sports Fury, Josh and Sean. What's up, sir? Good afternoon. Of course, if you're here, then you are certainly amazing and fantastic. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Oregon Ducks football. Yeah. So, first thing I want to talk about, and then I'm going to turn it over to you guys, like I said before. This comes by request, by the way. This comes by request of Comic Dude 45. I hope Comic Dude 45 gets a notification and checks in, because he's been asking me to do this for 3 weeks now, probably. He keeps telling me to do it, and I keep forgetting to do it. So, Comic Dude 45, if you're watching, I did not forget you today, sir. This headline today and the title is all for you. And I actually did spend at least 10 minutes of my time, which my time is very important, looking into this and trying to figure out what I would list this as. Now, there's a lot of different ones. The way I did this was So the most underrated college football games in 2018. I mean, you can't put Alabama and Auburn on there. You can't put Clemson and Florida State on there. You can't put Michigan and Notre Dame on there. Those are not underrated games. Those are very highly hyped games that everyone's looking forward to. Billy Dawson, good afternoon, sir. Billy Dawson, thank you for your retweet, letting everybody know I was going live. I really appreciate that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one game from each Power 5 conference. That's the way I'm going to do it. Now, if you want to pick a Notre Dame game somewhere in there, since they're not in a Power 5 conference, good for you. Go ahead and do that. And I'm sure everybody has their own feelings on this. I will quickly run through mine and give you the reasons why I'm picking the ones that I'm picking. And, of course, after that happens, you guys can let me know where I was right, where I was wrong. Even though I'm never wrong, doesn't really matter. You can still tell me I am. So, out of the ACC, most underrated game in the ACC this year, in my opinion, is going to be Virginia Tech and Boston College. Now, on any given year, you would say Virginia Tech should stomp Boston College, right? Boston College is in the lower tier of the ACC year in, year out. Wait and see this year. You're going to see a big difference in this Boston College team. It might be the best team that they've had on both sides of the ball in 10 years, maybe longer. Maybe since even Doug Flutie, the midget, was there. I don't know. But what's going to happen? See, Virginia Tech and Boston College are not in the same division. It's a cross-divisional game, that, you know, the rotation that the ACC has every year. And I would say if you're a Virginia Tech fan, be on big upset alert playing Boston College. I think it is in Virginia Tech, which does help them. A.J. Dillon is on the Heisman list, top 5 Heisman candidate out of Boston College. They will upset 2 or 3 teams this year, no doubt. Write it down. I don't know if it'll be Virginia Tech, but they will upset somebody. Hopefully not Clemson. We have to go on the road and play there later in the season at night. So that's definitely a game I'm looking for, even though Clemson should stomp them and embarrass them. They're that good, or they have the potential to be that good. So I will say, Air Max the Legend Killer says Kentucky versus South Carolina. Now, I don't disagree. Now, out of the SEC, I didn't pick that one. That's a good one, though. I'm not going to argue with that at all. But out of the SEC, and some people may not say that this is an underrated game, but it's hard to find an underrated game in the SEC unless you just pick a completely trash SEC team, you know. But I'm going to say Arkansas and Alabama. Now, they're both in the West. Nobody on God's green earth, including myself, can imagine a scenario where Arkansas beats Alabama. So don't get on here and type about how I'm saying that Arkansas has a chance to beat Alabama. I'm just saying it's an underrated game. Trust me. Now, there's a lot of Alabama games that are going to be underrated. The Texas A&M game, Jimbo Fisher versus Nick Saban, that'll be underrated. Pretty much everybody Arkansas plays will be underrated based on their new coaching situation. Alabama, Mississippi State, Joe Moorhead, the new coach there, versus Saban. Joe Moorhead walks into a situation where he's got tons of talent left over by Dan Mullet, and who knows what could happen in that game, right? So Alabama is on the radar for an upset throughout the SEC this year, in my opinion. Now, they should win every game they play. They're going to be favored in every game they play. But just keep an eye out for one of these teams, whether it's Texas A&M, Arkansas, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, whoever, to get lucky and knock them off. And they may lose one game during the regular season. I think that Alabama's going to lose one game regardless. The same way I think that Clemson probably will too. So it's not a knock on Alabama by any stretch of the imagination. But as a pure interest standpoint from a fan, an outsider looking in, the one I'm looking forward to the most is seeing Arkansas play Alabama, even though it should be a blowout. I'm going to keep my eye on that game. So let's see. Out of the Big Ten, strap your shoes on for this one, folks. I'm taking the same route that I took with the SEC here. Ohio State and Nebraska. Now, this game's in Ohio State, but don't let that fool you. We don't know what's going on with Ohio State right now. Clearly, Ohio State's a better team than Nebraska. Scott Frost, coming in his first year, inheriting a trash program, will turn that thing around eventually, no doubt about it. But I still think don't get caught slipping on Nebraska if you're anybody in the Big Ten this year. And this is a team that can easily be overlooked by somebody like Ohio State. And I'm not sold on this new quarterback, Haskins, out of Ohio State. Like, Ohio State fans tell me that he's the best thing since sliced bread. He's the best quarterback ever born on the earth. He's going to go out there and throw 80 touchdowns and win 4 Heismans in a row. Prove it, okay? And I'm a big believer in Scott Frost making a quick turnaround. I don't think Scott Frost is going to go in there and win 11 games or anything his first year, but he is capable of putting together a scheme and a game plan to knock some people off. And so I'm going to be keeping an eye on that Nebraska and Ohio State game. Okay, moving on to the Pac-12. This is probably the most interesting matchup in the Pac-12. Now, you would think that Washington is basically going to run through everybody on their schedule with the exception of Auburn week 1. That's clearly not a underrated game. Washington and Auburn is one of the most hyped games in the offseason, and will have millions of eyes on it week 1. So I'm not picking that one. Washington has to travel to Utah this year. That's a cross-divisional game. Obviously, Utah being in the Pac-12 South, Washington being in the Pac-12 North. There are lots and lots, and I don't know, I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert on Pac-12 teams, or certainly not Utah. I can promise you that much. But there's a lot of people that do follow Pac-12 football on the West Coast and are saying that Utah gets USC at home this year. They get Washington at home. They have a very veteran team. They're projected to maybe even win the South, or at the very least give USC a run for their money. So as somebody that's as an outsider looking in, like I said before, who doesn't know much, just hearing that sends my radar up and makes me intrigued. I want to see if Utah can knock off Washington at home or USC. But since I consider Washington to be the best team in the Pac-12, and I think that that's pretty much the consensus around the country, is that Washington is the best team in the Pac-12 preseason, I would like to see if Utah can knock off Washington in Utah. JC, Jet Central, how you doing? Falcons Fury, welcome to the stream. Everybody, I'm sorry I was going on a rant there, missing the new people stopping in. And of course, anybody that stops in is amazing. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So, Jet Central, I saw your Sports Fury Jets season preview. It was very good, sir. I would have to disagree with you a little bit on some of the stuff you said, but of course, listen, everybody disagrees with me about everything, but Jet Central is still an amazing video maker and a great dude, too. All right, so who do we have left? I've gone through 4 conferences now, right? I'm trying to run through this like shit through a tin horn, as Nick Saban would say. The Big 12. Now, I know almost every game in the Big 12 is underrated this year. I mean, talk about the most unpredictable conference. Out of all the Power 5 conferences, the Big 12 to me is the most unpredictable conference. And it has a lot to do with their structure of the way they play their season. Everybody plays everybody, only having 10 teams in the conference. People get last year you saw Iowa State beat TCU and Oklahoma. This year, West Virginia is being hyped up as the team that could possibly dethrone Oklahoma. Of course, you have Texas looming in the background at all times with Tom Herman chomping at the bit to win a Big 12 title. TCU just continues to stay at the top tier of that conference every single year. I mean, Baylor's down in the dumps, but Baylor has enough talent to beat anybody on any given day. The Big 12, to me, is, like I said before, the most unpredictable and very interesting conference to watch. I'm definitely going to keep a close eye on Big 12 this year. But to me, the most underrated game this year is going to be against West Virginia and Texas. Now, you can make an argument that it could be West Virginia and TCU, right? West Virginia and anybody, West Virginia and Oklahoma even, although I think that'll be a pretty hyped up game. But you've got two teams that are in third, fourth, fifth place on any given year in the Big 12 playing against each other. That would be as like if I could just draw a comparison. If this were ACC, it's like saying that I don't know, Pitt is going to play Wake Forest, right, on any given year. But this year, it's not Pitt versus Wake Forest, is it? It's two teams that have high expectations to win their conference that normally don't win their conference. So the winner of that game could be the team that challenges Oklahoma for the Big 12 title eventually, in my opinion. Because in my opinion, it's going to be TCU, Texas, and West Virginia. Those are the only three teams in my mind that have a shot to even challenge Oklahoma. So eliminating TCU from the conversation, even though I picked TCU to win the Big 12, the interesting matchup to me is Texas and West Virginia. Obviously because of Will Grier and also because of Tom Herman and also because Texas has an elite defense. That Texas and TCU, the only two teams in that conference that even attempt to play defense. So how can Tom Herman and Texas's defense slow down Will Grier and that West Virginia offense? So there I go. West Virginia 3-9. You're crazy, sir. No, it's not happening. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up on some of these comments. Billy Dawson, also a Washington fan. I went to Seattle, toured Husky Stadium, went to their game versus Washington State, and they were the first teams I've ever watched on any level of football. Wow. Oregon does football and basketball. Where's your evil twin, sir? Your evil twin seems to be in here more often than you are. I'm not sure if you're actually your own evil twin or not. Doesn't matter. You're both welcome. Jake Browning and Myles Gaskins are scared of Jim No, they're not, sir. I'm sorry, Oregon Ducks football and basketball. No one's scared of Jim Leavitt. That's just a fact, and facts cannot be disputed. TCU is winning the Big 12 and making the college football playoff. Air Max the Legend Killer. I've been saying that. Now I'm not going to co-sign with you on saying that they're going to make the college football playoff. DeGoat Watson. Good afternoon, sir. I hope you're back from Egypt in one piece, and you have better internet. Apparently, they don't have strong Wi-Fi signals in Egypt. But I've been saying that TCU. I picked TCU to win the Big 12. That's my hot take. Dark horse, even, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Chad Morris is Derek Dooley 2.0. Boonk Gang. Boonk Gang. I'm just going to pretend like you didn't say that. What school did Derek Dooley go to and resurrect them from a complete a 1 or 2 win team to a bowl team in 2 years? What Chad Morris did at SMU. Also, not only that, Chad Morris came to Clemson. When he came to Clemson, they had no offense, and resurrected them to a top 5. It was actually, by the time he left, they were a top 3 offense in the country within 4 years. When did Derek Dooley ever do that? Go ahead, type it. I'd like to see. I'd like to hear your answer on that. It didn't happen, sir. So yeah. DeGoat Watson says, nice jersey. I thought you had a Cam Newton jersey. No, I don't. I actually hate this jersey at this point because I don't like Kelvin Benjamin anymore. But whatever. Listen, I don't care what the name on the back of it is. I don't rep players. I rep teams. So, yeah, it's still a Carolina Panthers jersey, and I paid good money for it, so I'm going to continue to wear it. I just wanted to be nice to every Big 12 team in July. The time for what that is over. The return of bad blood came back. Go Frogs. Air Max the Legend Killer, you're a Washington fan. You're a TCU fan. Who else are you a fan of, sir? You seem to be a fan of a lot of teams. Chad Morris coached Deshaun Watson in high school, and he was the reason why Watson picked Clemson. Chad Morris did not coach Deshaun Watson in high school. Chad Morris was a high school football coach in Texas. Deshaun Watson played high school football in Georgia. But he did recruit Deshaun Watson. That's true. If it weren't for Chad Morris, Watson probably would not have came to Clemson, which is one reason I love him so much. South Carolina got top 3 recruits in South Carolina. No, he didn't, sir. College Football Maniac. Clemson got the top recruit in the state of South Carolina, KJ Henry. Yeah. So, and we also got the top recruit in Ohio, Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. First time that's ever happened. 6 states, number 1 recruit overall. Now, there's a debate whether or not Trevor Lawrence can be put on that list because of Justin Fields. But one was the number 1 rated pocket passer. One was a number 1 rated dual threat. Semantics getting in the way of that. Either way, the number 1 recruit of the state of South Carolina actually went to Clemson. So, unless you're talking about next year. West Virginia has hand and mouth disease. Okay. College Football Dojo makes a good point. College Football Dojo, anytime he shows up, he seems to make good points, which is why I like him showing up, because he doesn't say asinine and crazy things like Boonk Gang does. But College Football Dojo says, Oregon just needs Herbert healthy. Pac-12 is poor defense besides Washington. Exactly. I couldn't say it any better myself. He also says that Stanford would be really good this year. And I agree. Listen, anytime that you have, first of all, I really love their coach at Stanford. He's way underrated, in my opinion. And anytime you have a player with the caliber of Bryce Love on your team, you're capable of great things. Great players win big games at big times for coaches. That's just the way it is. Now, having said that, the biggest issue with Stanford is I think that they play more of a pro style type of football. You even see Nick Saban getting away from playing pro style football. Just look at the coordinators he's hired. Look at the type of players he's recruiting. Football is changing, and this old style pro style football in college just is not working the way it used to. And I think that you're seeing that David Shaw is eventually going to have to adapt to that. Now, they do play some kind of spread systems, but they're more pro style than anything. Wisconsin plays very pro style offense, and they can beat everybody, in that weak division in the West in the Big Ten. And then when they play somebody like Ohio State who spreads it out, somebody like Clemson, go down the list of playoff teams, and they just can't keep up. So that's Stanford's biggest downfall, in my opinion, is that they're not really adjusting to the times, the changing of football. These coaches, people like David Shaw, they've been coaching for a long time. They're set in their ways. You have to be willing to change and adapt. Saban is a perfect example of that. He has adapted great to the new style of football. College Football Maniac says, South Carolina has top 1, 2, and 3 for 2019. Zach Pickens, Jeremy Holly. For 2019. Okay. I thought you were talking about 2018, sir. I haven't even looked into that. Next year's recruiting. I'm so focused on this year. So I will take you at your word, College Football Maniac, that 2019, that South Carolina has the top 3 players in the state of South Carolina. I'm not going to argue with that. I thought you were talking about 18. DeGoat Watson. ESPN guy said that Deshaun Watson will change the sports. He said that Deshaun Watson will change the way that NFL teams draft quarterbacks. Is what he said. That was what he was saying in a roundabout way. He was saying that Deshaun Watson will change football by the way that teams evaluate college quarterbacks and draft them. And that's no secret. I mean, you're seeing look at the The two best young quarterbacks in football right now are Carson Wentz and Deshaun Watson. Nobody's debating that. And they are mobile quarterbacks, and they run a lot of college-style plays and a college-style offense, and have a lot of success doing it. And listen, I've been saying this for years. I've been called every name in the book by people who tell me I don't know anything about football. I don't know anything about X's and O's. That the college game will never dominate in the NFL. And every single year that goes by, you see more and more and more college systems being implemented, not just for trick plays, but as an integral part of an offense. Defenses are changing as a result. I have been saying the college offenses are ahead of the NFL systems. And what I've been saying for the past 5 years now is being proven to be true right before our very eyes. And you will continue to see every single year from here on out more and more teams using more and more college-style offenses and drafting more and more players like Carson Wentz and Deshaun Watson. It's just the way it's going to be. McCaffrey last night was fire. You're right. Good afternoon, Catfish, Volunteer Roadshow. I spoke to you earlier today. We had a good conversation about some stuff and some stuff to do in the future. Everyone knows who Volunteer Roadshow is, Catfish. If you don't, then I don't know what you've been doing with your life. But yeah. Oh, what's up, the artist formerly known as Drake Luke? How you doing, sir? Good afternoon. Welcome to the stream. Tiger Nation. Good afternoon, sir. I'm glad you could join us. Glad to see it all my Clemson brethren checking in. That always makes me feel good. I need a little bit of backup against some of these other folks. Boot Gang says, Wrong on Purpose says, for real, I thought he liked the Big 12. Who, me? I don't know if you're talking about what you're talking about, but no, I don't like the Big 12. Leon Hurricanes, good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the stream. Miami fans showing up as well. I missed the comment that I was reading. I got sidetracked. I have the attention span of a snail. Okay, guys. I get very easily sidetracked. Anybody that's been watching me for more than 5 minutes knows that. Billy Dawson, and guess what the two teams that TCU and Washington played in their respective bowl games met in the Natty, UGA and Bama. Air Max, are you I'm confused of who you're a fan of. It seems like every time you come on here, you're a fan of a different team. Are you a TCU fan, a Texas fan, Oklahoma, West Virginia? I don't know what you are. Can you clarify, please, sir, so I have some kind of a measuring stick to know how to destroy you whenever I'm talking to you? Yeah, 14 days left. 14 days cannot come soon enough. That is for sure. So nobody seems to have posted. And where's Comic Dude 45? He's the whole reason I did this underrated college games in 2018 thing. I'm sure he'll watch the replay. Sorry, sir. Sorry you missed out. Finally, I did it. But nobody has seemed to give me their opinions in the comment section on what they think the most underrated games are. You got to think about it. It's not that easy of a question, really. Air Max is a Houston Big 12 besides Kansas and University of Washington. Okay. Houston Big 12, Washington. I don't know. That's a weird mix of teams there. So he likes Texas teams is what you're saying. Nick Bro says Iowa versus Wisconsin. Nick Bro, I would have to agree, sir. That's a great pick. Of course, we saw what Iowa did last year to Ohio State, 55 points, and everybody's got Wisconsin. As the overall favorite to win the Big Ten West and make it to the Big Ten championship game. A lot of people even have Wisconsin winning the Big Ten outright, which wouldn't shock me. I mean, they certainly have the talent, and they have Jonathan Taylor. When you have, and they have great coaching. You have those three things. It's a recipe for success. But the problem is that Wisconsin has been running through the Big Ten West for several years now and just can't seem to get it done when they play either Penn State or Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. So, but I agree that'll be a great game, Iowa and Wisconsin. Tiger Nation says Utah. Yeah, Tiger Nation, you must have came on a little bit late. I did a whole soliloquy. I just learned that word. Don't ask me to spell it because it's not going to happen. But I did a whole soliloquy on Utah and how a lot of people are picking them to win the Pac-12 South, dethrone USC, and possibly even upset Washington as their cross-divisional game that's played in Utah. That's a game I will be watching. If I can't watch it, if there's another game on at the same time, I'll be recording that and rewatching it. I'm very intrigued with Utah this year. Prince 6'1" says Florida State and Virginia Tech week 1. I would agree with you, sir, except for the fact that I don't know if that's an underrated game because I think there's a lot of hype around it. First of all, it's not very often that you see a conference game week 1. I'm trying to remember the last time that's happened. Well, first of all, I can never remember Clemson playing a conference game week 1. I don't know that many teams do. So just in itself, that makes it not underrated. And plus, Florida State with their new coach, Virginia Tech with high hopes of winning the Coastal. There's a lot of storylines around that. I don't know if you would consider that to be underrated. I picked out of the ACC Boston College and Virginia Tech because I think that Boston College could potentially upset Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. UConn is cheating in women's basketball. I can just tell. Okay. I'll take your word for it, sir. I really don't care about women's basketball. I don't go to South Carolina. A Pack fan, good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the stream. I'm glad you finally could show up. The only person we're missing is the person who requested this video in the first place, Comic Dude 45. He's going to be kicking himself in his comic ass for missing this one. Yeah. So DeGoat Watson says Prince 6'1". Who's Virginia Tech playing week 1? They're playing Florida State in Tallahassee. DeGoat Watson says Leon Hurricanes, you should start a new quarterback. Sorry, but the quarterback that played against us isn't good. I would have to agree. Now, here's the only thing that I would have to say. I give Malik Rozier a hard time. He actually played pretty well in some of the big games. He played very well against Virginia Tech. He played very well against Notre Dame. He played very well at home. He didn't play very well on the road. Obviously they got beat at Pitt. Got destroyed by Clemson. I'm not sure how much of that was Malik Rozier's fault. I just think that was just an overmatch between Clemson's defensive line and Miami's offensive line. Malik Rozier was running for his life. He looked like a deer in headlights back there. So I give him a hard time. But the same thing with Clemson with the quarterback controversy. It's like the coaches know by what's going on in the practice field, who's the better quarterback, and I don't know. Miami needs an elite quarterback to win the ACC. It's just all there is to it. I don't know about this other kid that's behind him, if he's the answer or not, because we haven't really seen him play meaningful snaps in big games yet. But Malik Rozier is also very capable of getting better. We tend to treat these college quarterbacks as if they're NFL veterans. And they are who they are. These are still kids that are getting better every year. I expect Malik Rozier will probably be better than he was last year. He's a year older. I mean, was he 19 years old, 20 years old? He's got more experience. Same thing with Kelly Bryant. Expect Kelly Bryant to be better than he was last year, just due to reps and experience alone, and the whole 9 yards. So we tend to pile on these kids, these young quarterbacks, and say that they're terrible, as if they can't get better year to year when clearly they can. So. Here's my watch is doing the same thing it was doing that one night. This thing has got a mind of its own. Yeah. That bowl game was basically at home, though. I don't know what bowl game you're talking about. Yeah, that's a good question to go, Watson. If Leon Hurricanes, if you were making that decision, who would you start? And well, I'm going to give you his answer. The internet's beautiful. You get instant reactions. He says that he would start Perry, but if Rozier shows more team leadership, he'll be fine. Good answer, sir. You sound like me when I'm talking about Kelly Bryant. I mean, you could copy and paste that answer that he just gave you about Malik Rozier whenever people start asking me about Trevor Lawrence and Kelly Bryant. I mean, seriously, I would start Lawrence. But if Bryant shows more team leadership, he'll be fine. Boom. Pretty much that simple. Good answer, sir. Juwan Gary, how good is he? He's from South Carolina country. He was considering y'all, and Bama and Martin started acting a fool. I don't know. Is he a new recruit? DeGoat Watson says, Pigskin and Pete, I expect Kelly Bryant to be the same to Bonnie. He's 3 stars quarterback. That's the best you can get from 3-star quarterback. That's not true, sir. Stars don't mean anything. They mean something, but they don't mean everything. And you gotta remember the situation that Kelly Bryant came into last year. He was a junior who hadn't started a football game as a quarterback since he was a senior in high school. So for 3 years, he hadn't started the game as quarterback. Came in and inherited a team that lost half of their elite talent to the NFL draft and just won a national title. Coming in on the heels of sitting behind the greatest quarterback that ever put on a Clemson uniform. And all he does is go out there and take us to the college football playoff, which I did not expect. He also, by the way, made some very big plays in big games to win us some games that we probably shouldn't have won last year. So I don't agree with you about that. I don't. So I'm not saying he's an elite quarterback, but he can. Saying that he's hit his ceiling last year and that's as good as he's going to be, I don't agree with that at all. He certainly could play better this year than he played last year. Billy Dawson says, Catfish, don't know if you've seen my message, but congratulations on McCullough. Bama liked him. Yeah. Tiger Nation says, let me scroll back up. Tiger Nation says, I expect Kelly Bryant, from the way Dabo's been talking about him, to be a lot better. Yeah, exactly. And that's not just coming from Dabo. You know, sometimes when you hear the head coach speak, you get a lot of coach speak. And they're not going to tell the media somebody's not getting better. But you're hearing it from the other players, all the other players. You're hearing it from the receivers. You're hearing it from the defense, especially. You're hearing it from the offensive coordinator, the co-offensive coordinators. So across the board, what you're hearing out of Clemson on the coaching staff and as far as the current players go is that Kelly Bryant right now is light years away from, or light years better rather than he was this time last year. And I mean, I got to take him at their word for that. If he wasn't, then I don't think that he would even be in the conversation, because Trevor Lawrence is clearly talented and nipping at the heels of Kelly Bryant. And Kelly Bryant knows that. And he also spent a lot of time working with Deshaun Watson's quarterback coach out in California in the offseason, trying to get better. And I like that. This guy didn't just sit around saying, I'm a senior, and as long as I don't lose the job, I don't lose the job. I play on a great team. No, he went out to California in the off season and worked with a professional quarterback coach and to make sure that he keeps that job and wins. And I love Kelly Bryant. I really do. I know I'm in the minority there, maybe, but I love him. Until he loses a game, then I won't love him anymore. Just kidding. I love him, but if he doesn't show, if there's clear signs that Trevor Lawrence is better than he is, I'm not going to be sticking by Kelly Bryant. Despite, I'm not going to cut off my nose despite my face, so to speak. Yeah, Brian put in that work. Brandon Dansby says the fact that he took his time to get better and better himself, especially to his team, shows a lot. I agree. And that goes a long way with coaches like Sweeney and Saban. Believe me, there's lots of guys with lots of skill on great teams. Look, for example, Florida, LSU. For the past few years, South Carolina. Michigan. There's a dozen teams across the country that are loaded with elite talent year in, year out. Can't get it done. The players don't have the will or the heart. Will and heart goes a long way in college football, people. It just does. I'm sorry. You can see it from my new screen here. BYOG all in. Whatever else I have on there, don't know. I can't see it right now. I forgot what I put on there. We too deep. Anyway, Air Max the Legend Killer says we all know that Fromm will start for UGA again and again. Fields is going to transfer. How do you know that? How do you know that? Because I'm telling you that the Georgia fans that I talk to don't know that. So how would you know that? Tiger Nation says, I know the kid came in behind the Watson. Imagine the pressure, and then the pressure of Trevor Lawrence coming in. I think that he handled it and showed his maturity by working as hard as he did. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't say it any better myself. Tiger Nation, everything you said is spot on. DeGoat Watson, I do think he can handle the pressure. Is there any reason to believe that he can't? Well, he's handled the pressure of everything I stated about last season. He handled that pretty well, and all he does is continue to get better. I'm not. Listen, here's the thing: we can debate until the cows come home over who's better to start this season, Bryant or Lawrence. At the end of the day, Lawrence could be, the Zeus, the God Almighty of every college football quarterback to ever be born, but he's still a freshman. And trust me, Kelly Bryant has a better probably understanding and command of that offense. He's been there for 4 years as opposed to Trevor Lawrence, who's been there for a few months. That has something to do with it. So it is what it is. I'm comfortable with whoever they put in there. I think that we can win with Bryant. I think that we can win with Lawrence. And I think if it even came down to it, we could even win with Bryce. Maybe not in the playoffs, but Bryce can win us regular season games. Those guys are all elite talents and smart guys. So I'm not worried. I'm not worried about it anymore. I'm going to stop worrying about it for my own mental health even. I'm talking myself into some shit that's probably not true. I don't care. I'm doing it anyway. Boot Gang. Boot Gang says Clemson will beat UTEP in the national championship. I agree, sir. Jamil Stevens says, you didn't answer my question. I won't question your Tennessee fandom. I guess you're not talking to me because I'm clearly not a Tennessee fan. Kelly Bryant isn't beating Alabama. Let's keep it real. Well, Kelly Bryant's not beating Alabama, but Clemson can. It's a team sport. A Pack fan says Clemson could win with a potato at quarterback. Well, yeah. You guys are a trip. Billy Dawson says, I don't think JT Barrett is the best quarterback. It was a joke saying he should have been there because of he was there for 10 years. JT Barrett's older than me, I think. I'm almost 40. I'm pretty sure that JT Barrett is only about 10 years away from retirement. Social Security checks even. Somebody needs to check that guy's ID. He's got gray hair. And kids that are old enough to be in college, he was there for. It did seem like he was there forever. And no, that was the biggest mind-boggling thing about Ohio State continuing to start JT Barrett last year. It just was clear. I mean, that kid that transferred to LSU was better than him. I mean, he just was. Even Ohio State fans knew it. They knew it. I got one of my good friends, close friends. He lives in Ohio right now, actually, but he's an Ohio State alum. He knew. He knew that JT Barrett was no good. He knew it. Pigskin, do you play Madden? No, sir, I don't. I mean, yes, I will play it. But am I a Madden player? As in, do I get online and play other people and dedicate a bunch of time to it? No, I don't. Sorry. How could I? I spend most of my time here with you on YouTube. Do I think that Hunter Renfrow is a first-round talent? Yes, I do. That's a great question because you will see Hunter Renfrow. I don't know if he's going to go in the first round. He may go late in the first round. He will be drafted in the NFL. He will be drafted as a wide receiver, and he will be drafted, not as a seventh-round guy. He will, believe me, he'll be a top-tier slot receiver prospect in the NFL. Write it down, mark it down. I'll be willing to bet anything with anybody right now that happens. Most likely to the Patriots because we all know that Bill Belichick likes white receivers. Let's just be real here. It's true, and facts cannot be disputed. Just ask Leon Hurricanes and every other Miami fan out there. They cut Amendola in the offseason, and who they go out and draft? Short white receiver from Miami, Braxton Berrios. So Renfrow is next in line to be a Patriot, I think. Or, you know what I would like to see? First of all, I would like to see my Carolina Panthers draft him because they don't really have an elite slot receiver, speed guy, with great hands like Renfrow. But Houston, I mean, the Clemson connection's real. I mean, Houston's loaded with Clemson players. Deshaun Watson is very well in tune with Renfrow. We all know that. I wouldn't be surprised to see Houston draft Renfrow. That would be another team. Actually, a Pac fan. That would actually probably be another very good place for Renfrow to go. Would be to Green Bay. I could see that. I could definitely see that. Billy Dawson says, "Oh, did you get my tweet, Pete, about the cleanest programs or whatever? What a joke." Yeah, I got that. Yeah, I saw that. Thank you for sending that. That was so. What Billy Dawson's referring to is there was a poll done amongst college coaches anonymously, right? They didn't tell which coach said what about what coach, right? This is what the media does. Just try to stir up a bunch of bullshit and get people all riled up. The media is great at it. The media is the ultimate troll. It's not even close. And anyway, what they did was they ranked what was considered to be the dirtiest coaches to the cleanest coaches as far as how they run their programs. Nick Saban was not on the clean list. Dabo Swinney got 1 vote. I think it came out to be Mark Christ, Bill Snyder, David Cutcliffe. Those were like the 3 ones that everyone said was the cleanest. It really was much to do about nothing, to be honest with you. But it was interesting nonetheless. Yeah, Barrios, Leon Hurricanes. I think Barrios is going to be a great. I pat myself on the back because I'm clearly a genius. I said before the draft, Barrios is going to the Patriots. They drafted him to the Patriots. And also, I continue to believe that Barrios is going to be a very good, productive player in the NFL, no matter who he plays for. And we'll see this year. Yeah, we'll see. X Glover says ESPN is the ultimate troll. And by the way, welcome, sir. My computer's dying. I got maybe 5 minutes left on the stream before I got to shut it down. It's been almost an hour. To Goat Watson, Pigskin Pete, do you think the Panthers should draft a new quarterback and move on from Cam Newton? No, I'm not going to even read the rest of your thing. No, I don't. I don't. No. Listen, no matter what you think about Cam Newton, there's 32 teams in the NFL. I want you to name me 25 starting quarterbacks in the league right now that are better than Cam Newton. 25. Name 25 of them, which basically means he's a top 10 receiver, top 10 quarterback in the league. If you have a top 10 quarterback in the league, there's no reason to move on from him, sir. Every other team is scrambling year to year trying to find there's only maybe 8 teams in the entire NFL that have a solid Pro Bowl quarterback every year. That's it. And he's one of them. So why would you move on from that? I love Cam Newton. So you're barking up the wrong tree, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead and name them. And you won't get 25. You'll get to about 7. And then it'll stop, sir. Keep going. X Glover. Matt Ryan? Are you kidding me? Sir, you must be high if you think Matt Ryan is better than Cam Newton. Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is 80 years old. So, Jamie McCaslin, how you doing, sir? Good afternoon. Welcome to the stream. If you're here, you're already more amazing and fantastic than you were before you got here. Matt Ryan is not better than Cam Newton. I'm going to do a video on this soon, so I can just shut all you people up about Cam Newton who clearly don't know anything. The amount of records that he has. I have some of it right here. Well, this is just some of it. 54 rushing touchdowns, most ever. Only player to lead franchise in both passing and rushing touchdowns. Third most rushing touchdowns by any player since 2011, including running backs. More rushing touchdowns than anybody in the NFL since 2011, including running backs. Only player to ever have 3,000 passing yards and 500 or more rushing yards at any point in a season. One of 3 players in NFL history to have at least 3,000 passing yards in his first 7 seasons. And this got cut off. He has 7 or 8 NFL records in 7 seasons, an NFL MVP, 4 divisional NFC South championships, a Super Bowl appearance, an NFC ring. I mean, for anybody that say that Cam Newton is not a good quarterback, I'm sorry if you're one of them, but you're fucking retarded. Pixie and Pete, check it out.